Welcome, dear listener. Tonight we will travel to the realm of the Titans. Settle in now and allow yourself to sink into the deep. We are returning to the silence that precedes all the screaming, all the thunder, and all the frantic noise of the later gods. This is not a time of heroes, but of burdens. If this cozy story helps you drift off, please subscribe, tap like, and leave a gentle comment. Your support keeps the journey continues. Your gaze is now fixed on the very first court, the children of the Earth, Gaia, and the Sky Uranus. They are not merely beings, they are the forces. Slow, deliberate, and impossibly ancient. You are a silent observer in their enormous drafty hall, where the air itself feels thick with the weight of uncounted centuries. We begin with the figure who should have been the most secure, yet became the most anxious. Let your mind relax and drift into the story of Cronus, the Titan of Time, the youngest son who found himself at the head of the oldest dynasty. Forget the dramatic imagery of a vengeful son and a massive celestial war. When you look at Cronus now, he's defined not by the battle he won, but by the eternal, internal battle he could never escape. The crippling, immortal paranoia. You see him slumped upon his throne, a heavy, ill-fitting thing made of dark, rough-hewn basalt. He is the personification of time itself, yet he's completely paralysed by its passage. He's perpetually tired. Not physically, of course. Titans do not tire in the way you or I do, but deeply, profoundly tired of waiting. He waited, first, for his moment. Recruited by his weary, whispering mother, Gaia, he agreed to strike his tyrannical father, Uranus. The deed was not a clash of steel, but a dark, quiet betrayal carried out in the deep night. It was an act of terrible necessary silence. And with that silence, Cronus took the throne and the burden of all future. As the king of the Golden Age, he ruled over a world of soft perfection. But you, as the observer, notice the tremor beneath the surface. You feel the constant low-frequency buzz of his anxiety. He knew the prophecy that he, like his father, would be overthrown by his own child. And this knowledge, coupled with his immortality, became the ultimate torture. Imagine waiting for inevitable failure for thousands of years. Waiting for the one moment, the one sound that will end your peace. Your own mundane anxieties, your daily worries, multiply them by eternity. That is the oppressive quiet dread that hangs around Cronus like a shroud. You watch his siblings, the other Titans, go about their eternal monotonous duties. Oceanus flows, Hyperion shines, Koios thinks. But Cronus can do none of these things easily. He is always listening, always scanning the quiet horizon for the first faint cry of a newborn god. This constant heavy vigilance, this state of being perpetually on watch, leads to his terrible signature act. You hear the soft, private sounds as his children are born. Hestia, Hera, Hades, Poseidon. Not the triumphant cries of the future, but simply tiny, vulnerable sounds. And Cronus, desperate for quiet, desperate to silence the inevitable future, performs his horrifying ritual. It is not a chaotic, bloody scene, no. It is quiet. It is quick. It is a desperate gulp of a paranoid father attempting to swallow time itself. He wants to stop the clock, to silence the prophecy, to return to the simple, uncomplicated boredom that preceded his rule. Each swallowed child is an attempt to buy another millennia of agonizing, watchful peace. You realize that his prison was never Tartarus. His prison was his own paranoid mind, shackled to the endless cyclical nature of a universe that demanded change. When his wife Rhea finally tricked him, replacing Zeus with a simple swaddled stone, Cronus barely noticed. His mind was already so consumed by the weight of waiting that the small deception was lost in the overwhelming static of his fear. When Zeus finally did return, fully grown and armed, the ensuing war, the Titanomachy, was likely a relief for Cronus. A loud, violent punctuation mark on an endless, quiet sentence. He was finally actively doing something instead of just waiting for the axe to fall. And now, down in Tartarus, you imagine him in the deepest dark, no fire, no screaming, just the quiet, agonizing, eternal knowledge that he lost. The ultimate punishment is not the darkness, but the realization that he is now forced to wait for nothing. The fear is gone, replaced by the crushing monotony of an end that never truly arrives. Let the deep, weary weight of Cronus's perpetual waiting settle on your own mind. There is no need for your own urgent anxieties. All things, even time itself, eventually sink into a deep, unchanging silence. Let your mind drift now from the anxious, heavy silence of Cronus and turn to the oldest brother, the firstborn son of the earth and sky. You sense his presence not as a figure of fire or earth, but as the quiet, relentless hum of perpetual motion. He is Oceanus, the great river that encircles the entire world, the titan of the eternal flow. You must forget the crashing waves you see on your own distant shores. Oceanus is not the chaotic fury of the deep. His domain is the quiet certainty of the current. His burden is the profound, weary monotony of never being allowed to stop. Imagine the absolute stillness of a single drop of water. Now imagine the responsibility of being the father of all water, of every stream, every river, every sea current, for all of time. His existence is defined by the loop. He is a circle, perpetually flowing back into himself, eternally predictable and eternally the same. You observe him now. He is immense but not frantic. He sits perhaps on the edge of his own endless channel, a figure of resigned, deep quiet. His hair might be seaweed, his eyes the dark, unmoving depths of the deepest trench. He does not shout or command, he merely flows. His voice, when you perceive it, is the soft, rhythmic drone of water against the stone. A sound so constant, so predictable, that it becomes the ultimate lullaby. Think about the silence of a constant sound. When a noise never changes, when it never begins or ends, your mind ceases to notice it. That is the quiet torment of Oceanus. He is everywhere, yet entirely absent. He is the backdrop to every event, but can never truly be the focus. His life is an endless, soft surrender to the laws of gravity and the slow, cyclical nature of the cosmos. He is married to his sister, Tethys, who is the quiet, hidden source of fresh water. Their marriage is the perfect metaphor for their existence. Constant, harmonious, utterly and eternally unchanging. You cannot imagine them ever arguing, ever fighting, ever even having an interesting conversation. What could Oceanus possibly say to Tethys that he has not already said for millennia? Their quiet is the deep, familiar silence of an old couple who have long ago run out of new things to discuss, settling instead into the comforting, predictable rhythm of their shared breathing. Even when the Great War, the Titanomachy, broke out, that loud final crash that ended the Titan's reign, Oceanus remained apart. He did not join the battle. His choice was not cowardice, but the quiet, stoic acknowledgement of his own nature. A circle cannot break its own path. A constant flow cannot suddenly choose to rush or to stop. His true power lies in his absolute unwillingness to change. His existence offers a unique form of comfort. In a world defined by sudden starts and violent endings, Oceanus provides the ultimate safety net, the absolute assurance that the flow will continue. The current will always carry the debris away. The tide will always return. His silence is the deep, rhythmic certainty that all things eventually return to the sea. You sit now in the presence of this oldest Titan, and you feel the immense weight of the water above your head. It is heavy, yes, but it is also profoundly calm. You realize that his deepest quiet is the knowledge that effort is futile. The cosmos will continue to turn, and the water will continue to flow, regardless of how fast or how slow he chooses to move. He is the ultimate lesson in surrender. Let the sound of the deep, slow current fill your ears now. Let the deep, predictable rhythm of the ancient ocean become the rhythm of your own breath. You are being carried now, gently, by a force that has flowed in the same quiet loop since the beginning of time. There is no urgency in the current. There is only the long, quiet movement towards rest. Shift your mind now from the endless, quiet flow of the waters to the cold, blinding intensity of the sky. You are looking up, far up, to the figure who is the embodiment of all that is seen. This is Hyperion, the Titan of light, the father of the sun, the one who sits above the world and watches. He is not the glorious golden chariot driver of the later myths. When you observe the ancient Hyperion, you are looking at the heavy, exhausting reality of omnipresent sight. His burden is that he can never look away. His name itself means the High One or the Watcher. You sense his presence as a vast, silent eye in the sky. Imagine the relentless fatigue of never being allowed the mercy of true darkness. His existence is defined by a blinding, unblinking glare, a light so constant that it has lost all meaning. He is permanently on duty. You watch him now. He doesn't move. He doesn't need to. His light simply is. And you realize that his quiet is the most profound kind of loneliness, the inability to connect with the very things he illuminates. He sees every small human drama, every quiet moment of sorrow, every silent act of love, every slow, unmoving landscape of the cosmos. He observes the anxious pacing of his brother Cronus, the endless loop of Oceanus, the hidden works of Tethys. He knows it all, but remains eternally outside of it. Hyperion's silence is not a choice. It is an inescapable condition. The light he casts is cold and distant. He is the ultimate silent witness, the ultimate unmoving camera, capturing all of history without ever offering a single word of commentary or a single moment of intervention. What does eternal light feel like? It must feel heavy, cold, and profoundly boring. Think of the deep, quiet comfort of a familiar, simple darkness. It is a soft blanket, a place where you can hide your thoughts and finally truly rest your eyes. Hyperion knows no such comfort. His very being is the absence of shadow. He is forced to perpetually illuminate his own isolation. Even his marriage to his serene sister Theia, the tightness of sight, must be a quiet, contemplative affair. They are two ancient beings who simply observe one another in an endless, gentle light. Their conversations, if they exist at all, must be slow, profound whispers about the quiet shift of light on distant peaks, or the subtle changes in the colour of a stone over centuries. Their intimacy is a shared, profound, and utterly still boredom. The Titanomachy, the Great War, was a loud, chaotic flash of noise and fire. Yet even in that deafening uproar, Hyperion's light remained constant, unwavering. He observed the rise of his nephews, the fall of his brothers, and the entire devastating collapse of his dynasty. He saw it all, and he said nothing. He did nothing. He merely cast the cold, eternal light upon the scene, a quiet acknowledgement that all events, no matter how dramatic, are simply moments passing beneath his gaze. His ultimate fate, being cast into Tartarus, is the only true act of mercy ever granted to him. The deep pit is, finally, a place where light cannot reach. You imagine him now in that heavy, damp dark. No longer forced to cast his weary illumination, he is finally completely blinded. For the first time in his existence, he is granted the profound, quiet relief of not having to see. His silence in the depths is the most absolute sense of all, the total absence of vision. Let the cold, quiet intensity of his light fade now, and allow your own weary gaze to close. You have seen enough. You have observed enough. Let the gentle darkness of Hyperion's final rest settle around you now, and find the deep comfort in the ultimate quiet release of the unblinking eye. Let the blinding intensity of Hyperion's light fade completely. You are now stepping into the vast, silent, echoing space of the Titan mind itself. Your focus rests upon Koios, the Titan of intellect, of the questioning mind, and the one who embodies the very axis around which the cosmos spins. Koios is not a figure of grand action. He is a figure of relentless internal activity. His burden is the profound, weary monotony of having a mind that is always, always on. Imagine having all the secrets of the universe at your disposal, yet being eternally incapable of finding final answers. You observe him now, and you sense the subtle, constant hum of his deep-seated fatigue. His is the quiet of a vast, ancient library, filled not with noise, but with the pressure of a million unspoken thoughts. His name itself, Koios, is linked to the Greek word for query or to question. His existence is a perpetual state of inquiry, the relentless quiet need to analyze, calculate, and understand the sheer, overwhelming geometry of the universe. He holds the axis of the cosmos, the silent pivot point of all celestial movement. This is not a physical weight. It is the mental weight of maintaining cosmic order, of ensuring every star, every planet, every distant nebula maintains its slow, destined path. You sit in the shadow of his thought, and you feel the weight of his endless contemplation. He is the ultimate mathematician, the ultimate philosopher, trapped in a timeless existence where the only real tragedy is the lack of a solution. This internal activity is what defines his silence. His silence is not the absence of sound, it is the overwhelming presence of thought. He rarely speaks, because any word would be a simplification, a momentary distraction from the deeper, more complex question he is silently turning over. You feel the slow, methodical rhythm of his mind, a constant, rhythmic clack, clack, clack of logic being applied, then discarded, only to be applied again. He is married to his soft, nocturnal sister, Phoebe, the tightness of the moon and prophecy. Their union is one of complementary quiet, Koios, the tireless analyzer of what is, and Phoebe, the serene seer of what will be. Their intimacy must be a quiet, shared understanding, a profound silence broken only by the softest of whispers, a whispered question about a celestial movement, a whispered hint of a future consequence. Their shared quiet is the sound of two minds resting in mutual, eternal logic. When the Great War came, Koios was not driven by anger. He was driven by logic. He calculated the threat, analysed the possibility of defeat, and found the overwhelming probability lay with his anxious brother, Cronus. He fought not with passion, but with the cold, deliberate focus of an immortal applying a theorem. And his end, like that of his siblings, was Tartarus. But for Koios, the titan of intellect, the punishment is unique. It is not the crushing weight of the earth, nor the heat of the pit. It is the cold, horrifying absence of any new information. You imagine him now in that deep, lightless space. The silence is broken only by the gentle, maddening echo of his own endless questions. He has nothing to measure, nothing to observe, and nothing to calculate. His mind, the most powerful and active in the cosmos, is finally, completely, terrifyingly bored. His final rest is the ultimate quiet torture of the thinker, the perpetual cycle of thought with no conclusion, the eternal search with no data. Let the profound, deep fatigue of Koios' ancient mind now settle your own. Let your own endless questions and ceaseless thoughts feel the weight of his burden. Allow the quiet, absolute monotony of logic to lull your busy mind into a deep, final rest. Let the turbulent, endless thoughts of Koios subside. You are now looking upon the physical anchor of the Titan dynasty, the embodiment of stoic responsibility. This is Krios, the Titan of the constellations, the great pillar, the one who carries the weight of the cosmos with an absolute, unwavering stillness. Crius is not a figure of movement or action. His entire existence is defined by his unwillingness to yield. His burden is the profound, weary monotony of maintaining a single, unmoving posture for all eternity. Imagine being tasked with holding the very edge of the known universe in place. His name is linked to the Greek word for ram or master, signifying his powerful, unyielding nature. He is the quiet foundation upon which the more active titans build their fleeting power. You observe him now, and you sense the palpable weight of his silence. His quiet is not a choice, it is a necessity. A foundation cannot afford to be loud or erratic. A pillar cannot afford to move. He is the most stolid of the brothers. While Cronus worries about the future and Oceanus flows in endless loops, Krios simply is. He provides the unquestionable stability that allows the cosmos to avoid flying apart. His silence is the deep, comforting stillness that comes from a profound sense of being exactly where you're supposed to be. You feel the slow, methodical rhythm of his responsibility. He is associated with the great, unchanging constellations of the night sky, where he is the one who ensures that those silent, distant stars hold their rightful place night after endless night. His existence is an immense, quiet act of endurance. What does an immortal being do when their only purpose is to not move? He simply breathes, slowly, deliberately, for millennia. His stillness is the deep, unmoving calm that allows everything else to spin safely around him. He is married to his sister Eurybia, a minor goddess of the seas, a figure associated with the power of the tides and the mastery of the ocean. Their union is a complementary study in contrast. The unyielding earth pillar married to the fluid, ever-changing sea mistress. Their quiet is a profound stoic truce, the ultimate understanding between the unmovable object and the irresistible force, both finding a deep, resigned peace in their eternal standoff. When the Great War came, Krios, like his thinking brother Koios, joined the fray. But he did so not with passion, but with the brutal, efficient resignation of a pillar finally released to fight. He was a force of absolute, brutal impact. He fought until the end, and the fall of Krios was not a subtle retreat, but the final catastrophic collapse of a core support structure. His end, being cast into Tartarus, is merely an extension of his life's burden. He is still a pillar, but now he holds up the absolute crushing weight of the underworld itself. You imagine him now in that deep pit. The silence is broken only by the immense, quiet pressure of the earth above him. He does not scream, he does not struggle, he merely endures. His punishment is not active torture, but the quiet, eternal monotony of maximum load. He is forced to remain perfectly still, perfectly quiet, a massive, unmoving anchor in the absolute dark. Let the deep, quiet endurance of Krios settle your own mind. Allow the profound, steady certainty of his immobility to become your own. There is a deep comfort in the knowledge that some things simply hold firm, and in their absolute stillness, they allow everything else to finally relax and rest. Let the unyielding stillness of Krios fade, and turn your attention now to the figure who embodies the quiet, brutal realization of consequence. This is Iapetus, the titan of mortality, the one whose name is often linked to the idea of piercing or wounding. He is the embodiment of the moment when thought gives way to action, and the action brings about a final, unquestionable end. Iapetus is not a figure of ceaseless activity like Oceanus, or constant thought like Koios. His entire existence is defined by the finality of his purpose. His burden is the profound, weary monotony of knowing that all things, even the immortal, must face a decisive closure. He is the quiet herald of the inevitable finish. You sense his presence as a cold, sharp certainty in the deep dark. He is often credited with introducing the concept of mortality to the cosmos, the understanding that an existence can be punctuated by a final, non-negotiable stop. His silence is the deep, cold stillness that precedes a fatal blow, the complete cessation of all noise before a final, silent verdict is delivered. Imagine the crushing weight of knowing that every story, no matter how grand, must eventually conclude. Iapetus is the one who understands, with a profound and weary acceptance that even the Titan dynasty itself was merely a chapter waiting to be closed. He is the quiet resignation that all resistance is temporary. You observe him now. He is stern, unmoving, his gaze fixed on a distant silent point, the end of the timeline. He does not rage against fate. He is the embodiment of the cold hard logic that demanded the Titans overthrow their father Uranus, and the same cold hard logic that predicted the Olympians would overthrow them. For Iapetus, life is merely a series of foregone conclusions. This knowledge grants him a terrible heavy peace. His quiet is the most absolute kind of calm, the serene acceptance of a verdict. He is the father of some of the most dramatic figures of the next age, Prometheus, the forward thinker, and Atlas, the eternal bearer of the sky. His children are reflections of his own dual nature, the deep thought that precedes action and the heavy burden that follows it. His home, his family life, must have almost been a place of stoic, unmoving purpose. A place where every conversation felt like a final lecture on the inevitable gravity of existence. When the Titanomachy broke out, Iapetus fought with the brutal, precise efficiency of a force that knows its own purpose. He was the one who fought not for victory, but for the principle of consequence. He knew the fight would end, and he entered it with the profound, quiet resignation of a veteran who has seen the pattern repeat itself for too long. His final fate, being cast into Tartarus, is the quiet, ultimate joke of his existence. He, the Titan of the End, is now forced to endure a place of no end. You imagine him now in the deep pit. The silence is broken only by the echo of his own heavy footsteps, pacing a tiny circle of absolute dark. He does not struggle against the chains of his confinement, he struggles against the horror of non-finality. He, who understood the peace of the end, is denied it. But even in this deepest torment, he finds a terrible, profound quiet. The stoic acceptance that this eternal wait is his final, ultimate purpose. Let the cold, quiet certainty of Iapetus settle your own mind. There is a deep, freeing peace in accepting the inevitable finality of all things. Allow the quiet logic of conclusion to soothe your own struggles. You're not forced to fight what you cannot change. You're merely asked to rest. Let the cold, final certainty of Iapetus fade, and turn your attention now to the warm yet profoundly sad heart of the Titan dynasty. You are looking upon Rhea, the mother of gods, the figure of fertility and maternity. Yet her true burden is not life-giving, but the deep, heartbreaking silence of loss and the exhausting fortitude of secrecy. Rhea is the quieter consort to the anxious Cronus. Her existence is not one of ruling, but of enduring. Imagine being perpetually surrounded by the heavy, oppressive silence of your husband's paranoia. Her role was to be the rhythmic, gentle heartbeat of the universe, a constant presence of warmth in a cold, hard era. You observe her now, and you see the profound fatigue in her eyes. It is the exhaustion of a mother who has watched her children vanish, not to battle or to journey, but simply swallowed by her own anxiety-ridden partner. Her silence, unlike the stoic quiet of Krios or the logical quiet of Iapetus, is the agonizing, necessary silence of a victim who is secretly planning her own liberation. Her quiet is the profound silence of grief and conspiracy. You hear the soft sounds of a newborn, a momentary, beautiful flash of light and sound, and then the horrifying gulp of Cronus, followed by the crushing return of the oppressive stillness. Rhea had to endure this cycle 5 times. 5 times she had to hold her silence, to grieve inwardly, and to maintain a face of profound, unmoving calm. This act of quiet resilience required a courage far deeper than any battle. She is the Titaness who understands the immense power of waiting and planning. When she bore her 6th child, Zeus, she did not scream or challenge her husband openly. She used the quiet, ancient wisdom of her mother Gaia, and replaced the newborn with a simple, silent stone. This act, the most pivotal moment in the cosmic age, was carried out in the deepest, most profound silence. No shouts, no witnesses, only the soft, hurried rustle of a quiet conspiracy in the dark. She is the personification of quiet hope, the constant, enduring belief that a better world, a louder world, an unswallowed world could exist. Her silence throughout Zeus's long, secret childhood was the ultimate act of faith. The constant soft prayer that her son, Sib, hidden away, was growing into the force that would finally break the endless anxious silence of her husband's rule. You feel the slow, methodical rhythm of her heart. It is the deep, steady beat that carries the weight of all future generations. Her quiet is not a surrender. It is the patience of the inevitable. She knows that just as the earth gives way to the growth of life, the silence of the old order must eventually give way to the loud, chaotic birth of the new. Even in Tartarus, her final resting place, her essence endures. She is the deep, quiet comfort of the earth itself. You imagine her now in the deep pit. She is surrounded by the silent misery of her brothers, but her mind is filled with the deep, reassuring echo of her children's new, loud voices, now reigning above. Her silence is the profound, contented rest of a mother who has finally completed her sacred, heartbreaking task. Let the deep, quiet rhythm of Rhea's heart become your own. Allow the strength of her enduring, silent hope to soothe your own weary mind. There is a deep, quiet comfort in knowing that even the deepest sorrow eventually gives way to the long, long peace of an earned rest. Let the warm, enduring quiet of Rhea guide you now to a figure of profound, unassuming stillness. You are looking upon Tethys, the titaness of the hidden springs, the quiet wife of Oceanus, and the embodiment of the unseen, ceaseless labour that nourishes the world. Tethys is not a figure of drama. Her true existence is defined by a deep, unwavering commitment to maintenance. Her burden is the profound, quiet fatigue of constant, necessary, and entirely unacknowledged work. You sense her presence as a cool, earthy dampness in the deep dark, while her husband, Oceanus, is the immense, visible loop of the sea. Tethys is the source, the countless hidden springs, the underground rivers, the gentle water that seeps into the soil to allow all life to bloom. Her power is quiet, subtle, and utterly essential. Imagine being responsible for the constant replenishments of the entire world's freshwater supply. Not the dramatic, loud act of a thunderstorm, but the ceaseless, silent work of ensuring every stream, every pool, every drop of moisture is exactly where it needs to be. Her quiet is the gentle, steady drone of a deep, ancient mechanism that must never fail. You observe her now, and you see the profound patience in her posture. She does not move in grand gestures. Her movements are small, precise, and entirely focused on her task. She is the ultimate master of routine. Her life is a simple, predictable pattern of giving and then quietly refilling her sources, century after century. Her marriage to Oceanus is a perfect study in monotonous harmony. They are two ancient forces of water who have long ago blended their identities. Their quiet is the deep, familiar silence of two entities who know each other so intimately that they no longer require words. Their existence together is the ultimate form of peaceful predictability, the steady, rhythmic lapping of water on the shore, a sound so constant it becomes the deep, silent backdrop of the cosmos. Her great contribution was not in warfare or in ruling, but in the quiet act of nurturing. She is credited with raising many of the later goddesses, teaching them the quiet arts of domesticity and sustenance. Her lessons were not shouted commands, but soft, constant whispers about the importance of routine and the power of quiet, unceasing effort. When the Great War came, Tethys, like her husband, made a quiet, definitive choice to remain outside the fray. She knew that the world needed its water, its quiet sources, to remain untainted by the rage and the thunder. Her decision was the ultimate act of self-preservation for the sake of the greater whole. She maintained the quiet supply, even as the world around her became deafened by war. Her ultimate fate, being cast into Tartarus, is the only true break in her eternal routine. She is finally forced to rest. You imagine her now in the deep pit. The silence is broken only by the echo of her own internal, perpetual dripping, the knowledge that the springs above will continue to flow even without her guidance. Her punishment is the terrifying inability to tend to her duty, but even this brings a profound, weary peace. Her silence is the deep, contented stillness of a worker who has finally, completely been relieved of her enormous, eternal task. Let the soft, constant goo-goo of Tethys's hidden waters now fill your ears. Allow the deep, quiet rhythm of her endless, unseen labour to soothe your own mind. There is a deep, quiet comfort in the knowledge that even the most relentless effort can, eventually, find its soft and absolute rest. Let the quiet, nourishing effort of Tethys subside, and turn your attention now to the figure who defines the beauty of pure observation. This is Theia, the tightness of sight, of the gleaming sky, and the embodiment of the intrinsic value of things, the one who gives gold and jewels their natural light. Theia is not a figure of power or conflict. Her true existence is defined by a deep contemplative appreciation. Her burden is the profound, quiet fatigue of seeing the world in a state of constant, bright perfection, without the need for action. You sense her presence as a faint, ethereal glow in the deep dark. She is the light that is not the sun itself, that is her husband, Hyperion, but the quality of light, the magnificent shimmer, the reflection on water, the internal fire of a precious gem. Her power is subtle aesthetic, and completely non-aggressive. Imagine being the eternal connoisseur of light. Her quiet is not a silence of absence, but a silence of awe. She is so consumed by the sheer, overwhelming beauty of the cosmos, the slow, silent majesty of the sun and moon, her children, that she has no need for words. To speak would be to interrupt the quiet, perfect symmetry of the light show. You observe her now, and you see the profound stillness in her posture. She is eternally gazing upwards. Her life is a simple, predictable pattern of watching Hyperion, the sun, rise, and then watching her daughter Serene, the moon, take its place. She is the constant audience for the most ancient and grand performance in the universe. She is the quiet, perfect stillness of a watcher, completely lost in wonder. Her marriage to Hyperion is a union of complementary quiet. He is the force of light. She is the perception of light. They are two beings who require no words because they share an eternal, unmoving vision of the world. Their quiet is the deep, peaceful silence of shared aesthetic appreciation, the kind of quiet you find when you and a loved one are simply watching the sun set over a vast, still plain. Theia's ultimate contribution was the quiet gift of value. She is the Titaness who gave gold its shimmer, silver its soft glow, and gems their internal fire. She is the quiet voice that reminds the world that some things are simply worth looking at, not because of their power or their utility, but because of their sublime silent beauty. When the Great War came, Theia, like her quiet sister Tethys, made a choice to remain apart. Her domain was not chaos, but symmetry. She knew the fighting was a temporary ugly interruption of the cosmic aesthetic. She simply closed her eyes to the sound of thunder and focused on the deep, internal, unchanging light of a single, perfect diamond. Her ultimate fate, being cast into Tartarus, is the only true break in her eternal vision. She is finally denied the sight of the gleaming sky. You imagine her now in the deep pit. The silence is broken only by the echo of her own internal vision, the perfect silent memory of every beautiful sight she ever witnessed. Her punishment is the terrifying inability to see, but even this brings a profound, weary peace. Her silence is the deep, contented stillness of a mind that is full. A collector who has finally completely closed the immense, gleaming archive of her memory. Let the soft, crystal clarity of Theia's gaze now settle your own mind. Allow the deep, quiet appreciation of simple beauty to soothe your own worries. There is a deep, quiet comfort in knowing that the most valuable things in the world are often the ones that are the most still, the most silent, and the most enduring. Let the aesthetic contemplation of Theia subside and turn your mind now to the figure shrouded in the soft, cool illumination of the night. This is Phoebe, the Titaness of the moon and of prophecy, the one who embodies the deep, quiet wisdom that comes from knowing the future. Phoebe is not a figure of chaos or surprise. Her true existence is defined by a serene, unmoving certainty. Her burden is the profound, quiet fatigue of possessing knowledge that she can rarely, if ever, share. You sense her presence as a calm, cool light in the deep dark. She is the moon, the soft reflection of her brother Hyperion's energy. Her power is not dramatic, but insightful. She is the quiet oracle, the mistress of the original Delphic oracle before it passed to the Olympians. Imagine being the eternal recipient of all future knowledge. Her quiet is not a silence of ignorance. It is the deep, profound silence of knowing too much. She does not need to speak, because she already knows the ending of every story. Her existence is a simple, predictable pattern of watching events unfold exactly as she knew they would, with an absolute, unmoving acceptance. You observe her now, and you see the profound resignation in her posture. She is eternally calm because panic is useless when the outcome is already known. She rarely intervenes because she understands that all attempts to change the future are merely part of the larger, foretold plan. Her stillness is the quiet, serene acceptance of a timeline that is fixed. Her marriage to Koios, the Titan of intellect, is a union of complementary quiet logic. He asks the questions of what is, she whispers the answers of what will be. Their connection is the ultimate form of intellectual and prophetic harmony, the constant soft rhythm of the universe asking a question, and the universe quietly providing the answer. Their shared quiet is the sound of destiny being written, slowly and precisely. Phoebe's ultimate contribution was the quiet gift of insight. She provides the soft, nocturnal light that illuminates the hidden path, allowing mortals to find their way without the blinding intensity of the full sun. Her whispers, though rare, were always a profound, gentle guidance, never a chaotic command. When the Great War came, Phoebe, like the other wise female titans, was not driven by rage. She was driven by acceptance. She knew that the Titan Age was destined to fall, and she simply watched the predetermined end with the calm, cool detachment of a seer who has already lived through the event 1,000 times in her mind. Her ultimate fate, being cast into Tartarus, is merely an extension of her eternal state. She is finally denied the view of the celestial bodies she governed. You imagine her now in the deep pit. The silence is broken only by the echo of her own internal endless prophecy, the knowledge that the future continues to unfold even without her physical observation. Her punishment is the terrifying inability to see the stars, but even this brings a profound, weary peace. Her silence is the deep, contented stillness of a mind that is full, an oracle who has finally, completely closed the immense, gleaming book of fate. Let the soft, nocturnal quiet of Phoebe's wisdom now settle your own mind. Allow the deep, serene resignation of the oracle to soothe your own worries. There is a deep, quiet comfort in knowing that the future is already set, and your only true task is to allow the present moment to carry you gently toward rest. Let the serene certainty of Phoebe subside, and turn your attention now to the figure who is the embodiment of all that was, all that is, and all that ever will be remembered. This is Mnemosyne, the Titaness of memory, the one who holds the quiet, overwhelming archive of the entire cosmic age within her mind. Mnemosyne is not a figure of action or prophecy. Her true existence is defined by a profound, unmoving retention. Her burden is the quiet, exhausting fatigue of total recall, the inability to ever forget a single sight, sound, or feeling. You sense her presence as a warm, dense stillness in the deep dark. She is the collective subconscious of the universe. Her power is not physical strength, but the sheer, crushing weight of all history. Imagine being the eternal vault of every joyous moment, every traumatic whisper, every endless silence, and every loud, brief noise of the cosmos. Her quiet is not a silence of ignorance. It is the deep, profound silence of saturation. She does not speak often, because any word she utters would unleash a torrent of associated memories from the dawn of time. Her existence is a simple, predictable pattern of absorbing and organizing the endless flow of cosmic data. You observe her now, and you see the profound resignation in her posture. She is eternally composed, because to allow a single emotion to become too strong would be to allow the memories associated with it to overwhelm her entire being. Her stillness is the quiet, methodical calm required to manage a library of infinite size. She is the deep, dark repository where all stories go to wait. Her romantic life is quiet and purposeful. She is the consort of Zeus, who later gave birth to the 9 Muses, the goddesses of art, song, and science. Her ultimate contribution was to infuse the arts with the truth of memory. Her children, the Muses, are the quiet voices that remind the new generation of the vastness of the past, ensuring that nothing truly, quietly vanishes. Her power provides a unique form of comfort. In her mind, nothing is ever truly lost. The quiet, gentle lapping of Oceanus's water centuries ago, the cold, hard logic of Koios' final thought, the silent, watchful gaze of Hyperion, all of it is perfectly, quietly preserved within her. When the Great War came, Mnemosyne did not fight, she simply recorded. She was the ultimate scribe, the one who silently catalogued every thunderous clash and every fearful retreat, knowing that the memory of the war would be more enduring than the noise of the battle itself. Her ultimate fate, being cast into Tartarus, is merely a containment. She is finally denied new input. You imagine her now in the deep pit. The silence is broken only by the echo of her own internal, endless playback, the silent, rhythmic shuffling of memories in her mind's eye. Her punishment is the terrifying inability to forget, but even this brings a profound, weary peace. Her silence is the deep, contented stillness of a mind that is full, a chronicler who has finally, completely closed the immense, gleaming archive of her life. Let the soft, rhythmic quiet of Mnemosyne's memory now settle your own mind. Allow the deep, serene retention of all your life's moments to soothe your own worries. There is a deep, quiet comfort in knowing that the past is a solid, unmoving thing, and it is quietly preserved, allowing the present to drift gently toward rest. Let the endless archive of Mnemosyne subside, and turn your attention now to the figure who embodies the final, ultimate comfort of the cosmos. This is Themis, the titaness of divine law and order, the one who ensures that all things eventually fall into their rightful serene place. Themis is not a figure of passion or mercy. Her true existence is defined by a profound, unmoving balance. Her burden is the quiet, exhausting fatigue of perpetually maintaining the delicate, perfect equilibrium of the universe. You sense her presence as a cold, precise stillness in the deep dark. She is the quiet, perfect logic that underlies all events. Her power is not force, but the sheer, undeniable weight of rightness. Imagine being the eternal arbiter, the one who knows the exact consequence of every action. Her quiet is not a silence of absence. It is the deep, profound silence of unchallengeable truth. She does not need to raise her voice, because her verdict is the law. Her existence is a simple, predictable pattern of ensuring that when one side of the scale goes down, the other side is inevitably lifted to find its new, necessary point of rest. You observe her now, and you see the profound balance in her posture. She is eternally composed, blindfolded not to avoid sight, but to remove all distraction from the internal, perfect clarity of her judgment. Her stillness is the quiet, methodical calm required to manage a universe where nothing is truly random. She is the deep, peaceful certainty that all chaos is merely a temporary fluctuation within a larger, perfect system. She is the first consort of Zeus, a pairing that signifies the eventual triumph of order over the chaos of the Titan Age. She is the mother of the Herae, the seasons and order, and the Moirae, the fates. Her greatest contribution was to infuse the new Olympian regime with the principles of law, ensuring that the new dynasty, though loud and dramatic, was built upon an undeniable foundation of cosmic rightness. Her power provides the ultimate security. In her presence, you understand that even the greatest injustices, the loudest rages, and the most dramatic falls are all merely moments that will eventually be corrected by the silent, inevitable pull of her divine law. When the Great War came, Themis did not need to fight on the battlefield. She fought in the quiet halls of cosmic influence. She simply defined the rightness of Zeus's cause, ensuring that the new order had the unchallengeable foundation of divine law. She was the one who made the outcome not merely a victory, but a legitimate transition. Her ultimate fate is unique. Unlike her siblings, she was often said to be spared the punishment of Tartarus. She was allowed to remain free, perpetual reminder that even the deepest darkness of the underworld must submit to the quiet, absolute rule of order. You imagine her now standing at the very edge of the deep pit, her feet planted firmly on the balanced earth. The silence is broken only by the gentle click of her cosmic scales settling perfectly. Her silence is the deep, contented stillness of a judge who knows that the final right verdict has been delivered. Let the cold, quiet certainty of Themis's perfect order now settle your own mind. Allow the deep, serene knowledge of cosmic balance to soothe your own worries. There is a deep, quiet comfort in knowing that the universe is not random, that all things have their place, and that this perfect, unmoving law allows all beings to finally, gently come to their ultimate rest. And so we have observed them all, the 12 mighty, weary titans, the dynasty of silence, patience, and profound, monotonous burden. You have listened to the heavy anxiety of Cronus, the endless flow of Oceanus, the blinding light of Hyperion, the ceaseless thought of Koios, the stoic resilience of Krios, and the cold certainty of Iapetus. You have felt the quiet hope of Rhea, the hidden labour of Tethys, the gazing beauty of Theia, the serene knowledge of Phoebe, the total memory of Mnemosyne, and the final order of Themis. Their story ends not with a shout, but with the deepest, most profound silence imaginable. They were cast down into Tartarus, a dark, cold pit as far beneath the earth as the sky is above it. It is not a place of torture by fire, but torture by absence. The absence of light, the absence of time, the absence of change. You imagine them there now. They simply wait, forced into the final, absolute monotony of eternal darkness. Their punishment is not pain, but the realization that after a reign of endless waiting, their fate is now an endless, purposeless rest. And that final, absolute silence is what you now embrace. Let the vast, dark emptiness of the deep pit settle around you. Let the heavy, immovable weight of the ancient earth become your final anchor. There is nothing left to observe, nothing left to worry about, nothing left to remember or fear, only the gentle, cold, unchanging silence of the oldest gods in their final long rest. And so, our journey for tonight comes to a quiet close. The story lingers, like the last glow of candlelight, as you drift further into rest. If these gentle wanderings bring you peace, I invite you to like and subscribe so that whenever you wish, you may return and we can travel together once more. For now, dear listener, may your dreams be kind and your night be restful. Until next time.